Here's an example of the kind of activities that Professor Gray means by guided practice. These are some examples of how students might practice with the present perfect progressive. If they're given sentences like the ones on the screen, they can be asked to simply fill in the blank using the present perfect progressive. So for the first one, the student could fill in the students, verb, in line for 3 hours to buy tickets, but still don't have them. Okay. Students need to think about the verb that would fit in that sentence. So what do you do in line? Well, you wait. The students wait in line. No, perfect progressive. The students have been waiting in line for 3 hours to buy tickets. The second one, it something all day, so the rivers are very high. Well, what makes the rivers high? Well, it's rain, of course. Water makes the rivers high. It rains all day, so the rivers are high? No. Present perfect progressive. It has been raining all day, so the rivers are very high. Third, this is obviously an issue that you something on for some time. This is obviously an issue. What do you do with an issue? Something on, a verb that works with on. Work. This is obviously an issue that you work on for some time. No, present perfect progressive. This is obviously an issue that you have been working on for some time. So these are the types of practice that Bethany refers to by guided practice. And this is the completed set of sentences. An example of much less structured or guided practice comes from one of the games that you can find on the American English website. This game is called The Longest Sentence, and students work with little blocks that have words on them, and the students can build sentences using those word bricks. So what about explicit teaching of grammar? Professor Gray says, yes, but students also need practice in creating meanings without structure. So she suggests using both exercises that require explicit grammar knowledge as well as those that require the use of implicit knowledge. She also points out that students need to see grammars in discourse. Lots of examples are needed. And students also need to have opportunities to use the grammar for real communication. With this advice in mind, how can technology help? Well, to start, teachers can get ideas for how to make grammar practice fun. Also, the internet is full of real examples of language use. Teachers can find texts that illustrate grammar that they want students to use. Teachers can also use a corpus to find examples. And then they can also use controlled corpus activities to let students write their own grammar rules for English. On the American English website, there are lots of interesting games that students can play to help them learn and practice with grammar. The American English Facebook page also has a lot on grammar. Lots of different topics of English grammar where students can do explicit learning, and you can use it for explicit teaching of grammar. Here's just one of the many grammar topics that are on the Facebook page. This one deals with measure words, the expressions that are used in English to measure things, such as a grain of sand, a bottle of water, a piece of advice, a piece of furniture or a piece of luggage, a cup of tea, and a slice of bread. These types of measure words, of course, are very important for everyday conversation. and they're presented here very systematically, and there's also discussion on each of these topics on the Facebook page. Real examples of some grammatical constructions can be found by doing a simple search on the internet. If you use quotation marks around the expression that you want to see, it will give you exact matches for that expression. In this case, I typed in, "I have been waiting," in order to see some examples of that verb used in the present perfect progressive.